What's up? Oh, good evening. Happy Tuesday. Good to see everybody. We're going to do a story that I've tried to figure out how to do an episode on for a long time. I just can't do it. So it's a short one, but it's a really good story. It's little known in Texas history, which is unfortunate because it's a great story. It's really kind of the Rangers getting their asses kicked, um, which is a real learning experience for them. This was a real formative experience for the Rangers, and it's actually against the Kichai tribe. I think I'm saying that right. If we have any Kichai members in the chat, let me know. Make sure I've tried to find a phonetic pronunciation for it. I failed thus far. But a really interesting story, really brutal story. We're going to pull it again from Indian depredations in Texas. We're going to talk, what else? A little bit about the upcoming episode. The Dade Massacre should be ready to go. I just finished the script in its entirety. So I'm hoping to have that out hopefully Friday. If not, then at some point this weekend. And then we've got another side story coming for y'all. And what else? Probably we'll make this into a side story. So, because this is just a really good one. Sometimes the people that watch the live stream don't watch the side stories because they're just too short for them. And some people that watch the side stories don't watch the live stream because the live stream's too long for them. So we're trying to accommodate everybody. But let me know in the chat too if you've heard of the Stonehouse Fight. It's I think the aficionados of Texas history really love it and know it. And then everybody else has really never heard of it. It's also for Texas, very early, 1837. So just after the Texas Revolution, just as things are kind of getting going, and the Texians are now learning how to fight the native tribes. This is not with the Comanche, so a little different flavor than we're used to. And frankly, kind of something that I've struggled with as far as making it an episode because I have trouble getting people to draw to the Kichai name, but we'll talk about that. It's a whole subject in and of itself. What else? What else? Yeah, this is up by Dallas. We'll go over where it's at. And just this was a devastating defeat for the Rangers. I believe it's 6 Rangers in total are lost. It might be 9, but a lot of Rangers. That's a huge percentage of their overall total force. Another situation where the tribes that they are fighting light fire to the surrounding prairie. We see this again and again and again. This is something that I really underestimated or just didn't know about before I started the show. And in writing these episodes, I am shocked at how many times the tribe, be it the Cheyenne, be it the Comanche, the Apache, now the Kichi. Oh, and we just covered the Cherokee doing this in our last side story. How often they employ fire. They're just like, yeah, well, how about we just light the place on fire? Like, how about that? We see it. Oh, the Blackfoot in Isaac P. Rose's story. It's called Trapped in the Flames. It's a Mountain Man episode that we did. Mountain Man versus Blackfoot, Trapped in the Flames. I thought it was a really cool one. So go check that out. Let me check the chat real quick here. What's up, Skywalker? Good to see you, man. Seth Wyo, what's up? Hey, everyone watching tonight. Leave a thumbs up. Oh, yeah. Click the like button if you're just getting in here. I'm going to go till another couple minutes and then I'll jump into the actual story. We'll try and wait for our regulars to come in here. It's a Tuesday night. It's odd. Tuesdays are kind of weird. I said I have to explain myself a little bit. I said we do the boxing show tonight, but I am having to travel. Things are working out so that I need to do this story first. Long story short. So we're gonna do the boxing stream probably maybe tomorrow night if I have time while I'm traveling, and then certainly Friday night. Got to go to I have a family member with a birthday. Got to go do that. So anyhow, we'll be doing this is a story I've been wanting to tell for a long time, and I'm glad we'll be able to, get this out to you guys. Let's see. Theo Y says, "What's up? You mentioned you were Orthodox. Have you ever seen those Byzantine murals?" Oh yeah. Our any Orthodox church is just full of icons. It's really cool style of artwork. Oh yeah. Also, if you want to purchase the source for tonight, Indian Depredations in Texas, I am posting the link in the chat right now. Link to purchase. And y'all wish me luck while I'm traveling because airports seem to be a bit of a mess right now. So Hopefully everything goes smoothly. And if I say this every time we use this book, okay? But if you don't have a copy of Indian Depredations in Texas by J.W. Wilbarger, go get it. Whether you're a big fan of Texas history or Old West history or American history, you will love it. And it's all, I've said this a million times, but it's because it's a pertinent point. It is all separated into very concise stories throughout that are unrelated, apropos of, they are not apropos of each other. So you can just, it's a great bathroom reader. You're going to freak people out a little bit if you actually have it in your bathroom, but it's a great book that you can sit down, pick a story, read it for 5 or 10 minutes, enjoy a beverage, and then go about your day. So highly recommend picking up your own copy. This was, I think it's $1 on Kindle, so it's totally worth it. Bam at 8900. What's up, man? Been a while, ma'am. I forget. Good to see you, though. I haven't seen you in quite a while. Mark, what's up, man? Mark Kavitsky, good to see you. Let's see. What do I need to handle? Any other business before I jump into this? No, like I said, I just finished the Dade Massacre script. It's a really interesting story. We did an episode preview on it, I believe, last week. And I'm really excited for that one to come out. We don't do much Florida history. I'm trying to remedy that. So excited for you guys to see that. I think you guys will really like it. It's obviously in a little different locale. Is that my watch? Little different locale, but super intense. And we dive right into the deep end. We dive into the deep, deep, deep waters of the story. And it's one of those that it's cranked to 10 the whole time. There's the surprise ambush. There's the entire battle. There's actually a 2-part battle. There's this whole revenge story. There's a survival story. To me, the stories that mess with me the most are the instances in which people are begging for their lives and they get clubbed down anyways. Like there's a lot of that in Little Bighorn. And those just creep me out a little bit. Those really send shivers down my spine. This book is available free online from the government library. Oh, so much the better. Okay, great. This is tax day tomorrow anyways. Go utilize the little good that your tax money does. You just download it. I have many of these books the old way. This is legal. So yeah, go Google it and look in the government library. You should be able to procure your own copy of Indian Depredations in Texas for no cost. So highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Except keep in mind, as I read this, I don't think we have too many overly sensitive people in the chat, but there's a little, there's some 19th century verbiage and some 19th century nomenclature that you might find a little uncomfortable. So keep in mind that these are the author's words and not mine. And speaking of that, we're going to be in the chapter titled The Stonehouse Fight. These are not numbered, I don't believe, but this is going to be on page 163, I believe. Let me double check here. 179 of the digital copy. Let me give it another minute or two. I think we got a couple more people that are going to roll in here. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? I think I'm all caught up too. Thank you though, Mark. That's a big help. I can't encourage it enough. If you're a fan of the Old West at all, go get your own copy of Indian Depredations. And anything else here? Let's talk about where this occurred really quick before we jump into the actual story. So the home base for the Rangers at the time is really in Austin, where present day Austin is located. But they send out ranging companies. That's what a ranger is. It's literally someone who goes out on the range. So this company of rangers is out ranging in what amounts to northeast Texas. So the tribes we're going to talk about are the Kichai tribe. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cherokee. The Kichai or Kichi tribe are really most closely related to the Pawnee, and their diaspora has been from the kind of woodlands of the far east plains, where it's mostly woodlands, a little bit of plains, and they make their way down there, essentially forced out of their homelands southward to northeastern Texas. And this is where the Rangers are going to encounter them. Let's give you a map real quick of where this is at. It's just north of where today's Dallas is. I get so many tabs open. There we go. All right. There we go. So you can take a look here at where we're talking about, northeast Texas. Kind of hilly, timbered area. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to contextualize the story. We're going to see a conflict between the ranger officers, Van Bentuzen, and I'm kind of dreading saying Van Bentuzen so much, but Captain William Eastland and Captain Van Bentuzen have a bit of a conflict, a split that certainly does not help their efforts in the battle. And I forget how many losses exactly. Let's take a look at that too. There are, where did I go here? Did I lose my tab? I'm such a professional, guys. No. Is that where we're at? Okay. The losses for the Rangers are, I believe, losses for the Rangers are about 50 killed, though it's probably exaggerated with 10 killed for the, no, excuse me. That sounded like a lot. We have 18 Rangers involved here. 10 of them are killed, even more wounded. So it's a devastating casualty rate, and just a massive defeat for the Rangers. It's really hard to state how much this really devastated their morale. And you got to keep in mind, this is the early iterations of the Rangers. They're just learning how to combat native tribes in the field. And this is, like any other job, you have a really bad day and you're like, oh no, like this does not bode well for our future. Right. So this was a real, a beginning of a real rough patch for Ranger morale, and a really hard lesson learned, paid for in blood by the Texas Rangers. What's up, Elite Super Grunt? We're just about to jump into it here. So if you're just getting here, this takes place just north of Dallas, between the Rangers and the Kichai tribe. Somebody in the chat help me out with the pronunciation of that, if you know how to pronounce that exactly. Because like I said, I have looked it up, tried to find some kind of phonetic pronunciation, and I haven't been able to do it. Haven't found it. So help me out in the chat if you know. Anywho, we are going to jump in to Indian depredations in Texas. This chapter is called, fittingly enough, The Stonehouse Fight. Quoting from the author here, on the 8th of October, 1837, 63 Texans left Fort Colorado, which is situated on Walnut Creek, 6 miles from where the city of Austin now stands. We've done an episode based out of Fort Colorado. It is, basically in East Austin today. There's a monument for it. The actual fort, the grounds of the fort, have been turned into a small metropolitan park. It is, I believe, off of Far East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. I do plan to make an excursion out there. So we'll do a live stream from there at some point. But it was a major hub for the Rangers. They actually fought a battle with the Comanche, more of an ambush, right down on South Lamar. So not far from where proper downtown Austin is now. But this all to say that these Rangers are far afield, hundreds of miles north of where their base is. They proceeded up the Colorado River to the head of Pecan Bayou, where, from some dissatisfaction, the men separated. So this is the argument between Eastland and Van Bentuzen, kind of causing this split. And 18 hardy young men under the... This is so tough to say. Van Bentuzen. It's like okay. Deep breath. Here we go, guys. And 18 hardy young men under the command of Lieutenant Van Bentuzen went off in I almost had it. And 18 hardy young men under the command of Lieutenant Van Bentuzen went off in a northerly direction towards a large Indian camp on the Walnut Creek, about 40 miles from a notable place called the Stone Houses. This was 3 stone mounds, which at a distance resembled houses, hence the name, which is like, fair enough. Okay. Not terribly creative, but it works. It was near the place. Guys, I'm just getting warmed up. I know I'm getting eaten alive in the chat, but you know what? I will not be dissuaded. It was near the place where the last of these mounds was situated that this gallant little band was attacked by 150 Indians consisting of Wacos, Caddos, and Quichais. The little party of Texans took their position in a deep ravine. The savages, the author's words, not mine, the savages took their position about 70 yards in front of the ravine. The Texians, the verbiage gets tough, guys. The Texians sent out Mr. Nicholson, who understood the Indian language, to treaty with them. In order to make him hear them, he climbed up a tree and opened conversations with them. But they obstinately refused to talk and opened fire on the Texans from their horses, from which they had not dismounted. So you got these several Indians who have not dismounted, which is unusual to the Rangers. They're not used to fighting mounted enemies, especially not yet. Finding that they could effect nothing in that way, the chief commenced. Finding that. One more time. Okay? You guys all, I know I'm getting eaten alive. I'm getting eaten alive, but my confidence, frankly, is unshaken. Finding that they could not effect it. Finding that they could effect nothing in that way, the chief commenced writing. Finding that they could. I don't know why it's so tough. Finding that they could effect nothing in that way, the chief commenced riding rapidly up and down the ravine for the purpose of drawing the shots of the Texans at himself, holding his shield between him and the men. So I was thinking of this like the opening scene of Dances with Wolves, where Kevin Costner's character rides up and down the lines and they shoot at him. That's effectively what the chief is doing here, just trying to draw a little fire away from his boys, free them up to do some of the dirty deeds. That sounds bad, but you know what I'm saying. Free them up to do some work. One of the men in the party, an old Indian fighter, knowing how to shoot at him despite his shield, took good aim at him, fired, and killed him. The rest of the Indians crowded around the body of their dead chief, and, as did so the Texans, poured a volley in their midst, which made it pretty hot for them. That is a wildly confusing sentence, right? But what he's saying is the warriors gathered around their chief, and that's when the Texans opened fire and tried to get a bunch of them at once. That's honestly one of the worst English sentences I've ever seen. After depositing the dead body in a neighboring ravine, they returned on foot and took a position within about 60 or 70 yards of the ravine. So keep this ravine. This ravine is kind of the whole story. It's kind of the star player in this story. Here, there occurred one of the most terrific fights that ever took place in Texas. For one, some days you got it, some days you won't. I feel like Elite Super Grunt is just lighting me up in the chat right now. But you know what, Elite Super Grunt? I'm at work, so I don't have time to check the chat right now. I just got to keep pushing through. For 1 hour and a half did these savages keep up an incessant fire at the whites. The Indians had advantageous position. So it's a great story, but he really wrote it like a monkey with a typewriter. The Indians had an advantageous position in a clump of timber thickly settled with underbrush and tall grass. The Texians had to shoot at them in secluded place as best they could. So again, a disaster of a sentence, but you can tell the Indians are hiding in the underbrush and the grass. The Texans are having a really hard time at laying down any effective fire. They would raise their heads above the ravine, spy out the position of an Indian, then drop back and slip their gun over the bank and fire. Every time one of them shot, the Indians would throw a volley at him. After fighting for an hour and a half and having 50 of their men killed, the Indians found that they could not oust the whites in this way. So they resorted to one of their pieces of strategy, and that was to set the prairie on fire and burn them out, which is just like, I don't know who started this thing, guys. I don't know who started the proud tradition of burning people out, but this is like their thing. This is like every tribe just goes to like, well, plan A didn't work. Plan B, what's your plan B? Burn them out every single time. It's burn them out. So just keep that in mind. Like almost everyone's plan B is burn them out. Back to the story. We omitted to state that there were about 50 Delaware Indians with the others at first, but when the fight began, they left and passed around on the opposite side of the Texans, and there they took a position out of shotgun distance and watched the fight. These Indians always claimed to be friendly with the whites. So you're seeing kind of the honoring of a treaty of sorts. The who was on here? The Delaware, who have often, yes, you'll see them often working as scouts, especially in the next 10, 15 years with the Texas Rangers. There's a lot of Delaware scouts who have great enmity with the Comanche, the Kiowa, the Tonkawa at times. So they're more than happy to work with the Texans. And you can see here that when it looks like primarily the Kichai, but also the Waco and the Caddo are going to get into this fight with the Rangers, the Delaware are just like, well, all right, it's time. It's like a bar fight essentially, right? Like they're going, well, this is my buddy, and I know you three are going to have a bar fight with them. But while that happens, I'm absolving myself here. I'm washing my hands of this, so to speak. So that's what the Delaware have done. But I think it's funny that they also said, okay, we're not part of this, but we're also going to hang out and watch. Like we're going to go right over there and we're just going to see how this pans out. So I thought that's kind of funny. Like, well, we got nothing else to do. The savages set the prairie on fire within a few rods of the ravine. So a rod is like basically a yard. I know, not exactly a yard, but I think within like a few yards of the ravine. The savages set the prairie on fire within a few rods of the ravine, and it threw such a cloud of smoke and heat among the men that they could do neither. And it threw such a cloud of smoke and heat among the men that they could neither see the enemy or breathe freely. What were they to do? To remain in the ravine was certain death. They thought the Delawares opposite them were a portion of the enemy and supposed that they were placed there on purpose to cut off their retreat. So the Rangers or the Texans don't know that the Delaware they think that they're still part of the Waco, Caddo, and Kichai coalition. They can't recognize them through the smoke. The smoke in the ravine is just a disaster at this point. They know that things are only going to go downhill from here. So believing meaning such a disaster the way he wrote this. So believing, meaning that they think, okay, well, since they believe that the Delaware opposite them in the ravine are part of the enemy force, they, proceed the following way. So he's saying, since they believe this is what they do. So believing, they thought retreat in that direction was impossible. Had they not been there, the Texans could have mounted their horses and made their escape. So again, he's saying if they knew that the Delaware if they knew that was the Delaware, they would have been like, oh, those are our bros. We can go that direction. But they couldn't tell who they were. So they thought, well, that's probably more Wacos, Caddos, and Kichais. We can't ride that direction. And that affects their entire retreat. And this thing is about to become a debacle. The Indians had now gone into the ravine to cut off their retreat. And what chance of escape was there? The only alternative, and that was a slim one, was to charge right through the Indian lines down the ravine. So it's a classic, like, there's one way out of this thing. The only way out is through. There's a metaphor there, certainly, but it's literal in this case. After a hurried consultation, they settled on this plan. Joseph Cooper, Alexander Bostick, William P. Wills, and Dr. Sanders had all been killed, but there were 14 more men left to make the desperate venture. As soon as they advanced, the Indians fired, and the men, thinking that there was no chance of an escape through their lines, turned out of the ravine up the line, thereby completely exposing themselves to the fire of the Indians. As they ascended the hill, 6 more of them were killed. So they're, instead of trying to break the line, they're running parallel with the line now, and just it's a shooting gallery for the Waco, Caddo, and Kichai. One individual, Captain Rice, determined that he would carry out the plan that they had agreed on, and dashed on by himself into a briar thicket. Just as he was entering it, to his surprise, he met a tremendous Indian with his gun raised to shoot him. He had made a long leap in order to stop this accelerated. He made a long leap in order to stop his accelerated motion, and at the same instance drew his gun over and shot the Indian through the body, killing him instantly. Which is like, I don't know if you actually killed him instantly, if you shot him through the body, but basically what they're saying is he did like a baseball slide. It's pretty awesome. He did like a into third base while drawing his pistol, and then boom, shot the guy in the torso. So it's a pretty sweet move. I thought that was a little undersold in this account. Just saying. He then dashed on through the thicket and made his way out into the post oak with an empty gun. So it's important to also keep in mind these are one-shot rifles and pistols in 1837. So once these guys have fired, they're basically going to have to stop and reload or keep on running. This is as bad as it gets, basically. They are stuck in this ravine and they have to go through the lines, or they are SOL, S word, out of luck. Here, he halted behind a tree to reload. He supposed that he and all the rest would be killed. He soon saw a man leaping towards him. He supposed it was an Indian, and he raised his gun to shoot him, but found that it was one of his own party. Soon after, 6 more men came from the same direction and joined him. Soon after, 6 more men came after. It's a disaster, guys. I'm glad he shared the story. Again, glad he shared it, but this could have used some proofreading. Soon after, 6 more men came from the same direction and joined them. Here were 8 survivors out of the 18, with 3 of them being wounded. They were more than 200 miles away from the white settlements in an Indian country, completely stripped of everything except their arms. They had lost their horses, provisions, clothing, and blankets. They had nothing to eat, and no blankets to lie on. Fletcher, Clish, and John Zeke were the names of the wounded ones. See, he just kind of like throws random details in there. So like, but it's again, great story. The wounds of these men were bound up as well as they could fix them, and they were greased with buffalo tallow. Another interesting part there of like a little snippet of frontier medicine. Really, what I've read is that bear tallow was the best. Like if you could get bear tallow, think of it as Old West Neosporin, but any kind of fat is going to be, I believe, antimicrobial. So it was used as like Old West Neosporin. It worked. It kept a lot of people alive. Late in the evening of the 4th day, they killed 4 buffalo, which saved them from the. He's got buffaloes, but I think it's buffalo. Late in the evening of the 4th day, they killed 4 buffalo, which saved them from utter starvation. On the 10th day, they arrived at a Kickapoo camp On the 10th day, they arrived at a Kickapoo camp where the city of Dallas now stands. From there, they traveled on for 7 more days to Samuel Hinges on the Cherokee Nation, and essentially a proto-reservation. From thence to Lacey's Crossroads on the old San Antonio Road, where they came first to the white settlement. Captain Rice, Lieutenant Van Tuzen, and Felix McCusty made their way to the city of Houston. So, like, after this whole ordeal, they're riding hundreds of miles. It is a long way from north of Dallas all the way to Houston. The disaster, I would talk about that for the rest of my life if I walked and rode that. But they have to do this after the worst defeat they've ever had. There was one man in the company who this is an interesting part. I like this part. A little bit of a theological dig against Reddit atheists. If you're a Reddit atheist out there, pay attention to this part. There was one man in the company who professed an entire disbelief in the existence of a god. His name was Bostic. Keep in mind, he was one of the guys that got killed earlier. He's on the KIA list. He didn't even make it to the coalescing point of the tree. This guy was killed early on, okay? Born loser. But let's see how it ended for him. He and Captain Rice had several arguments on the subject. One day, Rice said to him, "You believe that you are no more than a log or a tree. I may yet see you die on this trip," which seems like a little harsh, but the point is made. He's like, well, if you don't think you're anything more than some kind of inanimate object, then like, who cares about your life? Basically, it's a salient philosophical point. A little mean, but after the fight began, Rice discovered that there was something the matter with Bostic. He approached and asked him what was the matter. Bostic replied that he was badly wounded. In a moment more, he sank down on one knee, still holding to his gun and exclaim, still holding to his gun and exclaiming in the most piteous accent, "Lord, must I die?" He then began he then began praying in earnest and expired in a few moments. So kind of like the parable of the guy like jumping from the bridge, like he has the time to repent and the time after in the time between jumping off the bridge and splattering on the pavement, he does have technically time to repent. So let's all hope good things for old Bostic. The heroism, bravery, and endurance of this little band speaks for itself. I mean, yeah, JW Wilbarger, the author here. Yeah, you're right, bro. It does. It does, right? But this is a decidedly pro-Texian account because they got whooped bad here. So it's like, is this a feat of bravery and endurance? Yes, it is. But I mean, the Kichai, Waco, and Cato put a whooping on these dudes. Okay, back to the account here. Although defeated, they killed about 60 of the enemy, which is a fair point. 10 times almost the number that they lost. Fair, but they still lost an immense percentage of their men. Over 50% KIA rate is crazy. And we're going to finish strong here. Last sentence. And the few remaining ones made their escape in the presence of the whole array of Indians who had been so badly handled that they would not follow them. So he's saying like they beat them so bad, they killed so many of the Waco, Caddo, and Kichai that they wouldn't even follow them, which is like, hey, that's all true, right? It's like, hey, did Muhammad Ali win a bunch of rounds in the first Frazier fight? Yes, but at the end of the day, Frazier won and he won like pretty handily. So this is a pretty slanted account, but keeping that in mind, that sizable grain of salt, an enthralling, I think, account of early Texas history. And it's like 3 pages. And if you really break that down, listen, like I said, you have to kind of recontextualize it because it is 19th century nomenclature and kind of 19th century sentence structure, which it's a little well, I don't know. I'm lacking the verbiage myself. It's a little all over the place sometimes, right? But if you really take each sentence and break it down into a mental picture in your head, it is the craziest movie ever. Like these guys are stuck in the ravine. They're going to burn them out of the ravine. One guy's like they all make an agreement. The Texans are like, all right, we're all going to charge through this line. Okay, yes. And they all take off for the line. And one of the guys holds to what he said he was going to do. One of the guys who they just leave out there, he's like running and then he looks around him and all of his bros are gone. They're all gone. He's like, I guess I got to keep running. And then he baseball slides and shoots the guy. That's pretty awesome. And then the rest of the guys do the worst thing that you could do and just start running parallel. So you're just like a carnival game for the Waco, Caddo, and Kichai. They're just going to pick you off like those ducks, where like you shoot enough of the ducks, you get a big teddy bear or something. But that's what they turn themselves into. You see this like harrowing account of the Bostic's last moments. And if you think of it like that Saving Ryan scene where the medic is killed, played by Giovanni Ribisi. Is that right? He's going, mama, mama. It's like, I mean, like, if you went out that way, you probably don't want that part in the movie, but it's very realistic. And it's like you're seeing someone die from their wounds. And like, if you transpose that to, put a different outfit on him, and it's like, man, that is a tough way to go. And he's kind of wrestling with his own theology on his way out. He's praying on his way out. He's quickly converted. Then we just the visual of them being trapped in the flames, and then you also see it's true. You see the native forces taking heavy losses, and then every loss kind of redoubles their commitment to the fight. And then I again think this adds a little levity to it. The whole time the Delaware are just kind of like chilling over to the side, just like watching to see what happens. So there's a lot going on in this very short story. Because of its brevity, I've had a tough time making it into a full HOKC episode, but I'm thrilled to be able to share it with you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm going to take a look at the live chat now to see how bad I was skewered for my reading performance, though I still think I have solid 8 out of 10. I'd say a solid 8 out of 10. Let's see. The Jeff Baum, what's up, bro? Good to see you, dude. Glad you made it. Today, Junior. I knew Elite Super Grunt was roasting me. Can't imagine sitting there and staring through a cloud of smoke at uncertainty in such a fashion. Yeah, while bullets and arrows are pouring in and you're hearing the war cries. It's not just a visual experience, it's the smells and the noises. You couldn't even hear what your boys are saying. So it's such a debacle. That's a great point. It's an assault on the senses. What's up, Chet? Good to see you, man. Hey, y'all, this debacle. I think debacle is a little harsh, but it's a subjective term. Bama Deanna, good to see you. Glad you made it. We're just going through the Stonehouse Fight. Chet's giving me a hard time. Well, I deserve it though. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you play at a high level. When you're in the major leagues and you throw some stinker pitches, you're going to hear from the crowd about it, but doesn't mean you're a bad pitcher. Honey works as the best natural antiseptic. That's what I've heard. Yeah, that's been around since they have honey in ancient Egyptian tombs, right? Kickapoo. Yes, but it's a real tribal name. Let's be respectful. Like Titicaca. I knew it was going to devolve into this. The Old West and antibiotic cream sounds nasty. Yeah, but it was reliable. Bear tallow, buffalo tallow. It worked. It is antimicrobial, I believe. No worse than Comanche yogurt. Yeah, if you guys haven't heard about the Comanche yogurt recipe, it's when they would kill a nursing calf and then squeeze the bile from the gallbladder into the stomach of the calf, and it would make this congealed kind of Comanche yogurt. So appetizing. Let's see. Oh, I let Brandon explain it. There we go. Yes, that's the recipe. Go try it for yourself and let me know. I doubt there were 60 warriors in the whole Kichai band. Yeah, I think some of that's exaggerated. And you know how the reports go, Josh. And can you tell me how to say Kichai or Kichi phonetically? But on the American side, yeah, they're usually a little exaggerated, because if you exaggerate, you either sound like you beat more people than you actually did, or you lost to a far larger force. It sounds better. This book was published in 1890. Yeah, absolutely. It was stories related to him by actual people. Yep. And J.W. Wilbarger experienced a lot of frontier stories. He's an OG. The Wilbargers are an OG Texas family. Scottish, Irish. I think you're talking about. You are the best sport. Thank you. So yeah, man. Yeah, I have a good time with this. Kichai. That's what. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great story though. Like I'm gonna cut this up. I'll make this into a side story, but it's just that's always been so interesting to me on so many levels. It's got everything I look for in a good movie. There's action, there's retribution, there's revenge, there's comedy. What's up, Indian Wildcat? Good to see you, bro. Let's see. I think I'm caught up on the chat. Any questions on the story or Indian depredations? Any questions on the upcoming episode? Oh, tomorrow there's a compilation coming out, The Dark History of Texas, as well. I'm posting that after I get done with this. I got to go post that. I just got that back from the editor. Then we are finishing up the side story. Then we are doing the Dade Massacre. Has anybody heard of the Dade Massacre? I feel like Josh McAllister has. We have such a learned audience, though. I have a hard time trying to surprise you guys. Really, like every time I think I have something that no one's heard of, there's like 10 of you have heard of it. Are you going back to Cali? Absolutely. Yeah. Going back on Thursday. Arrows can be shot 10 arrows can be shot in the time a gun is reloaded. I've heard 6 to 10. Yeah. and the natives had arrows that had heavier bacteria or poison tips. Yes, and then also they would barb the tips. They would make them out of metal, especially that would bend. They knew it was going to bend, and they would aim for someone's stomach because they knew what peritonitis was, uh, uh, an infection of the intestines. They knew what that was. They knew that would slowly kill people. So yeah, it was gnarly warfare. Permanently? Oh no. I'm in Austin, but I that's where I'm from. So my family is back in California. So I'm gonna go visit. Let's see. They do that in prison. Dark history of Texas. Come on, man. I don't know what you mean, Chet. They do that in prison. Come on, man. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Yeah, let me know if you've heard of the Dade Massacre. It's a really cool story that I had not heard of before I started writing. The Wichita Keachai. Okay, Josh is kind of talking about the origins of some of these people. You are saying that a lot of them are Pawnee and Arikara, I believe, an ethnic group origin. That's my understanding. Okay, yeah, I had to finish reading your comment. My understanding is the Keachai they share the most common cultural ties and hereditary lineage with the Pawnee. It's my understanding. Poop on weapons. That's true. Yes. And just like Vietnam punji sticks, it's not new. Josh knows his stuff. Josh knows his stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, so the Dade Massacre, too, is going to talk about the start of the Second Seminole War. We've covered a little bit of the First Seminole War. And the First Seminole War is kind of more of a territorial conflict, like about borders and where the Seminole are going to live within Florida. And the Second Seminole War, which is like almost 7 years long, is about getting the Seminoles out of Florida. Just we're pushing them west. So it's a much more extended and brutal conflict. And the Dade Massacre is really kind of the flashpoint that started it all, the Fort Sumner of it. Let's see. They did that in Vietnam, right? Yeah, punji sticks, absolutely. Charlie was clever. I don't. That's not like a hateful term, right, Charlie? I don't know. Seminole ended up keeping their land, didn't they? Yes, I'm just saying the goal of the Second Seminole War was get them out of Florida. It wasn't even about like negotiating with them. Well, not all of the Seminoles stayed though. Some were driven out, to my understanding, thus far. But just the whole actual massacre, it's just so brutal. It occurs pretty quickly, and Dade himself is actually shot first. He doesn't even live to see the battle. He's the first guy shot, and he's shot right out of the saddle. He's dead before he hits the ground. And then command just keeps being passed down the chain of command, and one guy after another is killed. And the soldiers are mostly younger guys, and so their terror is just through the roof because they're just seeing all of their leaders cut down, and then they think they drive the Seminole off, and then the Seminole redouble their attack, and then the soldiers are even more terrified, and it keeps looking like maybe they'll make it, and then ultimately it's kind of a bummer of a story, I guess, depending on what side you're on, but they don't make it, and it's a brutal story of these survive. There's 4 or 5 guys that survive. Only 2 of them end up making it. The Seminole hunt them down. One of them goes like, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. That's never gonna work. Every tribe hates that. Like, it just makes them mad. Be it the Seminole, Comanche, the Iroquois, whatever. Just don't do that. Don't say, please don't do it, please, because that's for sure they're gonna do it. So when that guy tries to do that, they basically think you're being a coward, and it's gross. So they smash him, they bash his head in. Another guy bashes a Seminole warrior and unalives him, and then he gets killed. But I mean, at least he tried. 2 more guys one more guy tries to run away, and he's shot down immediately. Then two more kind of take off as a pair, and then they split up when they hear a Seminole warrior coming. It's probably best that they split up, right? Because one guy gets taken out and one guy ends up escaping. And for no reason, the Seminole warrior that's going to take him out just kind of like turns his horse around and decides not to. I don't really understand why. But a great survival story for that guy, but everybody else is just unalived. It is it's a brutal one. And it's very creepy. Something creepy about Florida forests to me. I don't know. Caddo Lake is mysterious. Yeah, Caddo Lake creeps me out, man. I'm easy to creep out, but I feel like that's a good thing. It keeps you out of trouble. I learned a thing or two from Charlie, don't you know? You never come back from Copperhead Road. That's right. My name is John Lee Pettymore. Only 3 men escaped or survived the Dade Massacre. Well, 4 if you count Pacheco. Well, wait, there's one that begged for mercy, one that was shot down immediately. There is, what is his name? I have it in the notes here. The 2 that escape are, I believe, is it Clark and Doucette? No, excuse me, DeCourcy. Private Ransom Clark and Private Edwin DeCourcy are the 2 that escape as a pair and end up splitting up. DeCourcy is killed by a Seminole warrior. Clark is spared for some reason. Then he makes it back to Fort Brooke. Is that right? Yeah, it makes it back to Fort Brooke. And then actually the day after Clark makes it back, there is another private, Joseph Sprague or Sprague, that comes in the next day. He's just as bedraggled, and they kind of cross-reference their accounts, and they're the exact same accounts because they're going like, well, maybe everyone's not killed. Should we send a rescue force out there? And Sprague and Clark both say, no, everyone else is dead. Like, everyone else is dead. Don't go back out there, because this was supposed to be a for sure self-deletion mission from the get-go. Like, everyone before they left Fort Brooke, this started by the Army saying, okay, we have to move this contingent of men from Fort Brooke down to Fort King, this newly established fort in Seminole territory. But to get there, it's kind of an island in Seminole territory, and to get there, you have to go through the thick of Seminole territory. And there'd already been unrest and lots of Seminole raiding because they were unhappy with a bunch of broken treaties. Might have heard this story before. But so everybody knew that this was not a good idea. And as you might expect, it wasn't one of those things where they thought like, oh, I don't know if we can do this, but we pulled it off. They didn't think they could do it, and they were right. So it just becomes this complete debacle, and they say, well, don't send a rescue force out there because there's no point. Everyone's going to be unalived. They have to reinforce the fort. It just becomes just a mess, and is the flashpoint that kicks off the Second Seminole War, which is we're going to do a couple episodes on, and it is one of the most unnerving conflicts in American history. I would say that. So yeah, an interesting series on that coming up. I really think this is a really cool episode that everybody will enjoy. So excited to get that to you. What else? Yeah, I'm going to put the compilation up for members tonight, and then it will be available for the public tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So that'll be out. Jamilian, what's up? Hope everyone is having a good night. Absolutely. Yeah, we just covered the Stonehouse Fight. So you probably know about that, but it's from Indian depredations in Texas. Conquistadorks? Man, I don't know. We're gonna do a stream on like, were the conquistadors the bad guys? It'll be a little bit of a contentious subject, but I'm gonna say no, they weren't. They weren't all bad. Conquistadors, good one. Don't encourage them, Jeff Baum. My contention is that were the conquistadors like nice guys, would you feel comfortable chilling with the conquistadors? No, they'd freak you out. I'm almost certain they'd freak you out a little bit. They're intense guys. You know, they're probably not the most chill to be around, but they came into a world essentially ran on an economy of slavery and human sacrifice to the tone of many thousands a year. You will see accounts that say 80,000 people sacrificed by let's just do the Aztec alone, 80,000 people a year sacrificed by the Aztec. People will say, no, 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 it wasn't that many. Okay, let's say it's a quarter of that. Let's say it's one quarter of that. It's 75% less than that. It is 20,000 people a year. I mean, that's a ton of people. That's more than basically 2,000 people a month that you're sacrificing. It's an insane number. And they brought, if nothing else, a completely different philosophical and theological paradigm to entire continents that I've seen certain historians who what is this guy's name? I'm gonna do a kind of refutation of him. He does a good presentation, but he also just says mind-numbingly obtuse things. He said, well, the conquistadors were so short-sighted that if they hadn't been so short-sighted and maybe not forced their religion on people, that things would have worked out better for them, and their legacy would have been longer lasting. It's like two continents, or basically the 1.5 continents, Central America and all of South America, are all still Catholic, at least nominally. So I just thought, like, what do you mean? Like, they were incredibly successful, and I think, were they perfect? No, but a net positive. I would argue a net positive, and I would argue that till I'm blue in the face. So that'll be an interesting discussion to have. We're going to talk about the Crusades too. I have a buddy who is very well versed in the Crusades. We're not, I think, terribly. We don't have entrenched positions on either side. So I think it'll be an interesting discussion, and we're going to watch Kingdom of Heaven as well. I think you guys will really like Sam, my buddy who's going to come on the show. He makes me look like I talk real slow and use real slow words. Let's see. Given the pedagogy of the era, I'd say they were objectively good. Talking about the conquistadors, can't say putting a stop to human sacrifice is a net negative. Amen. I think that's it's not excusing the bad things the conquistadors did. Like I said, are they cool guys who you want to go grab a cafecito with? No. I think they would make you incredibly uncomfortable, and they would do things that you would find inordinately intolerant and inordinately brutal. So it's not arguing that the conquistadors are cool dudes who I want to be bros with, but net positive, yes. Let's see. By our standard now, I wouldn't want to be their neighbors. Yeah, no, they're a rough crowd. I'm not positive, but I believe Sprague played dead and they bypassed him. Can anyone else verify this? I'll have to go look at his firsthand account. I think so. I think that's how everyone of the soldiers that escaped the Dade massacre, I think they all played dead. And some of them, it seems like they just sprang up too quickly. I think the one guy who clubbed the warrior to death, I think he knew that he had to do something. I think he knew he was going to get caught. But yeah, everybody played dead and then ran away. Before you do the Crusades, watch the Y-Files episode from Tim Hogan, who is a Templar. Yeah, I'm dubious. I will. Yeah, I will for sure. And I'm not coming in to argue that the Crusades were like all awesome or like the Templars were awesome. I think they had some good points and some bad points. Let's see. The human sacrifices will stop. Yeah, hopefully. We're still working on that today. If you know anything, or if you believe the rumors. I do. Let's see. Am I all caught up on the chats here? Let's see. But yeah, I think that'd be an interesting conversation to have. Let's see. Hope everyone's having. Oh yeah, and Jamilian, I'll check my Instagram messages, but let me know if I can share your writing on the stream. It is not stopped yet. No, it is not stopped yet. No, it is absolutely not stopped yet. Let's see. I'm just making sure I'm caught up on the chats. Do another 5 minutes here, and then I'm gonna go put the Dark History of Texas episode up and get this Dade Massacre recorded and put up another side story. So lots of content coming for you guys. Then we got to get the set up. Lots of stuff coming. Got the taxes paid. I know, I just love doing that. I do believe he was wounded slightly. Yes, I believe Sprague. I believe Sprague was wounded. Clark, the other survivor, was certainly wounded, but I wasn't able to find exactly what his wounds were. But they described them as serious, or I believe the term they use is serious. But it's the point is made that Clark is badly wounded. I did not see that Sprague was, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I think I'll have to just go read his firsthand account. Thanks for the videos. Keep it up, man. Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Yachty. Nice name. So 1492 was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. It's amazing how fast the conquistador diaspora, as it were, happened. Because, like, by the 1520s, these guys were all over the place. When the British colonized Africa, they came across civilizations that were based on human sacrifice and cannibalism. Yeah, it's the whole world. It's not South America or Central America. When they came upon Ireland, the Celts were doing, or the Britain, the Celts were doing the same thing. The Gauls, the Franks, you can name it, right? Like, it's nothing unique to the human experience. If you're of a what would you call that? I know the word for it, animist culture, or you're from a polytheist culture, like, there would be very little in your moral paradigm to not do human sacrifices. Like, there's no reason that you wouldn't even see it as bad. You would see it as necessary. Bernal, in his account, said that the Aztecs had 4 festivals where 20,000 people were sacrificed. So, yeah, so that'd be 80,000, right? Like, I that's my inclination, is where that estimate comes from. But I think it's being hyper charitable to say, okay, let's take 25% of that, and it's still 20,000 people. Like, it's absolutely insane. Let's see. The Druids were also, I mean, like, almost every culture before, like, pre-Christian contact, frankly. Let's see. Am I missing anybody here? All right, guys. So I'm going to start winding it down. And like I said, if you haven't gotten your own copy of Indian Depredations in Texas, I don't make any money off of it. Just go grab yourself a copy. I can't recommend it enough. Let's see. The Donner Party. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's not like a spiritual act. It's not like they're not sacrificing to the gods, so to speak. Tenochtitlan, they did the math and figured it was 20,000 sacrifices in 4 days. They'd have a sacrifice every 30 seconds on one of the temples, 24/7 for 4 days straight. They did the math, figured out the 25 is 4 days. Yeah, I mean, like, it's essentially a sacrifice machine. I'm not sure if you're saying they did that or that's the math behind it. But either way, it's like mathematically feasible to do that number of sacrifices. It's just inadvisable to actually do it. One guy decided to keep up the consumption of human flesh after they were rescued. Yeah, was that Kessler? Yeah, there was some crazy, like, they say that a lot. That's what the Wendigo legend is about, is that once you go cannibal, you never really come back from it. You will always crave that. And that's kind of like the Wendigo curse. And I think something happened like that with Louis Kesselberg. Let's see. Ravenous. Have you ever seen that movie? I've only seen clips from it, but I mean, like, I need to watch it. Maybe we can do a movie night of it. Humans were not meant to eat other humans. No, absolutely not. And not only from a moral standpoint, it's incredibly dangerous. Like it's very, very unhealthy. It's very, very dangerous. I believe you can get trichinosis or something. Ravenous is a good movie about the Wendigo. Oh, I didn't know it was about the Wendigo. Okay. That movie is hella effing intense. Now, Josh McAllister, you are in Florida, sir. And hella is frankly a Northern California affectation that I feel like a little bit of our it's there's a little cultural infringement there happening. Mad cow disease, but in human form. Okay, well, mad human disease. Let's see. Ravenous is a good movie. Yeah, well, maybe we can do a movie night of it. Josh McAllister says, I'm a stoner man on the beach. Well, then you are more than welcome. Please do use our beloved hella. For a while, anybody using the term hella was just castigated. I used it in Austin because you just do it. You don't even think about it. And people would just cringe and it was upset. So many people. And now I hear hella all the time, which is fine. Sounds like a man with a plan, Josh. Josh is a man with a plan. But okay, guys, so I'm going to go get this Dark History of Texas compilation posted. Go check that out. It'll be out for members tonight. For everybody else, tomorrow night, we'll have a short story up, shorts every day, live stream, probably 2 more this week. Let me see how it goes because I'm traveling. But we'll do the boxing live stream. We'll try and do a movie night this week. Again, contingent on like what my family's doing and everything. But that's the plan. Oh, and then we'll have the Dade Massacre out Friday at the earliest, Saturday, Sunday, somewhere in there. But that'll be coming out soon. We just got a ton of stuff in the pipeline. So don't you worry. More and more content coming. And thank you guys again, truly, for all the support. It means the world. And I always look forward to seeing you guys. So until our next stream, thank you all again for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you again. God bless. Stay safe. And we'll see you soon. All right, bye.